Hello, and welcome back to Soulstar Radio. I'm Jacquelene Closemore, your host, and I'm coming to you from live under the painting, which you can't quite see. It's actually a painting I did years and years ago, which I was guided to because I had this image of what my work would be, and so it's actually got a crescent moon up here on her, and she's got this aqua blue hair and cobalt blue hair, and she's all covered around in magenta, and then there's these six caped dudes, I call them, around her that are sort of guiding and helping and protecting, and they're kind of luminescent. They sort of pulsate between white and sort of a lemon yellow, and so that's kind of been the symbol of my work, which can seem quite abstract, but the message that came with it is if you keep to the path of truth and light, you will shine long after darkness comes, so that no matter what besets the world or people around you or yourself, if you just keep to that path, challenging as that can be, that you're going to get through this. And so that's sort of a message of inspiration that just sort of I felt the need to share. Although you can't see the painting, I will put it up on social media later on Soulstar Radio's Facebook page, which will also be having links to A1R Psychic Radio so that you can find that. Now, I've actually had a question by a few people over the last couple of weeks, and I've sort of got, and it's been people saying, how do I look less like that? And you're like, Botox? I don't know. How do you look less like that? How do you look less like who you are? I mean, the lines on your face, the way that you enunciate is all part of your energy and part of you. But sometimes people do feel that they're being misunderstood or misheard, misseen by people. And often it's down to how they're putting themselves. And it's really interesting because, of course, we're in the middle of Mercury retrograde, which is all about communications and having to kind of make sure that we're being heard properly. So it's always an exciting time when that's happening, certainly on my show. And certainly my laptop can give it attestation to that because part of it isn't working. So it's one of these click-together keyboard, tablet, almost laptop things that probably shouldn't have been invented, and and it stopped working over this last week or so, and of course there you go, Mercury retrograde, as well as about 5 other planets. So it's always exciting when that's happening, and so people can be feeling the heaviness of energy and going, why am I not being seen or heard properly? Sometimes that is an energy going on out there, which, out there is we are part. The reflection of out there is kind of a reflection of what we're doing as well, but sometimes there is just stuff going down, and this week on the world news level is certainly the case. But when people feel like they're being misseen or misheard, sometimes what's happening is that people can see your experience, see the energy of people around you and what may be coming at you, and mistake that as being intrinsically you, because they just see this stuff at the front and go, whoa, that's a bit full on. Maybe she's like that. So when they sort of talk about when you get rid of toxic people in your life and all this sort of thing and how that's really groovy, and it's easier said than done, and in some ways it's not always appropriate. But sometimes the energy of what people are doing towards you, and then whether you're letting that into your space or not, can be reflected in how people are seeing you. But essentially, those who've been through those sorts of experiences can see you as you are, not as other people are seeing you. So take strength and courage in the fact that those who have more of a depth to their personality, their intention, who they are, will be able to see your colours shining through anyway. And perhaps, just perhaps, those that can't see that, maybe they're not meant to see you as you are. Maybe they're not at a space and a time in their life where they can understand that. So just keep that in mind when you're, feeling a bit misunderstood or misheard. Sometimes you're not jiving with that person because you're just not meant to right now. Sometimes it's that they don't understand. Sometimes I don't need to understand. Sometimes you don't need to connect with them at this moment. It's really just about, I think, living the truth of who you are, because at the end of the day, that will end up shining through. And, you know, it can be said about people who can look really fantastic at the beginning, and then you find out later that's like, that's something else. That's a bit of charisma. That's polish. That's intention. And, you know, as long as you're being true to you and listening to that gut instinct, if your gut instinct is saying, wow, but well, listen to that. It's actually, you're getting a double message there. You know, if it's just a straightforward, wow, this is really good. Oh, I feel comfortable, relaxed. I can trust this person. Fabulous. If it's like, oh, they look fantastic, but I'm sure there's something really wrong here, walk away. Or maybe just say, hi, pleased to meet you. Maybe we'll catch up sometime, and just let it unfold with that little radar not forgotten, so that you don't sign up to $1 million contract that you're paying them $1 million and later on wondering where that went. Just you know, piece of reference there. But just to get to our first callers, and I don't believe she has actually signed $1 million contract and lost money. We have Rachel in Las Vegas. Are you there?
Yes.
Hello, Rachel, and welcome to the show, and thank you so much for calling in. I'm happy to do a reading for you today if you would like, and all I need for that is just your date of birth, and that will get me off and racing.
10/22/79.
Brilliant. So is that the 22nd of October, is that right?
Yes.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. So with your energy, you're actually year of the Earth Goat, and I do feel a great sensitivity in your energy where you can be at times affected by people and sort of feel like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? And it can take a bit of a while to reset the goals, the agenda, and where you're going. And I do feel you have a generosity of spirit in the things that you like to do with people, but sometimes you are needing to sit back a bit more first, sort of really assess people and work out, you know, where is their energy at? Is this quite the right connection for me? I do feel that once you get down to a task, you're incredibly disciplined, but you can be very indecisive about how to go about something, or whether you should sometimes as well, is also what I get here. But was there a question you wanted me to look at for you today? Because this year is quite a big one for you. But, yeah, was there a question you wanted me to look at for you today?
Yeah, my finances and love life.
Absolutely. Look, I feel like the last couple of years has been really quite a big change for you, a series of changes. It's not just one change, and you're having to adjust to things and be very you know, contemplative, reflecting on what this means for you in order to get the most out of the situation. There's a lot of lessons going on there. This year it's going to be a situation where at times there is, you know, the ability to see money coming under control, and at other times it can feel like it's running away from you, and that can be happening like 1 month's up, 1 month's down, 1 month's up, 1 month's down, if that makes sense to you. And so it can be you know, a little bit erratic, to say the very least, and coupled with that, you can find that you're wanting to change things around the home environment, whether you're wanting to fix things up or change things around, even as well feeling a bit, you know, like you're sort of reassessing the home environment and relationships around that as well. But this year it's really important. Yeah, it's really important to be frugal, so a little bit careful with the money that you're spending or thinking of spending, and how you're going about that, you know, where you're placing yourself as far as, for example, you could really this year fall in love with a couch, so to speak, like, or a furnishing of some kind in the shop and go, oh, I've got to have that, you know. But the thing to do is to take down the details of it, the price, you know, what it is, and to walk out of the shop and then go look at other shops, see if you can find that. You'll probably find it cheaper, right? And then if you go on eBay, you're probably going to find it a whole lot cheaper than that, and then you're going to have saved yourself this, you know, financial, you know, volatility being exacerbated, because to me, I feel like you're normally really careful with money, but this year it's like it's almost you can get these moments where it's like, what the heck? I'm just going to go and do this, you know, and it's like, no, don't do that. Don't buy the couch. Because this will pass. So you can even be treating love life a bit like that. So I would be making sure you're giving yourself the space, the energy and the time to really sit back at times and really think back over, is this quite right for me? Because it's easy for you to be a bit sacrificial or self-sacrificial, when it comes to that situation with loved ones and family and people like that around you, where normally you can keep your cool very well. So that's why I'm saying that, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so does that answer that for you? Is there any other questions you want me to look at there?
Well, yeah, my love life.
Sorry, are you there still, Rachel?
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, just make sure this year, my main sort of theme of what I'm saying is make sure this year that you're looking after yourself as well in the relationship, and take on board the kind of imagery I'm talking about when I was talking about that couch, because it's actually a symbol not only for the money but also how you're treating yourself in relationships. Make sure that you're not letting go of the things that are important to you and that are helpful to you for the sake of what somebody else seems to want from you, if that's particularly unreasonable, if they're being unreasonable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so you'll get what the couch is about, because sometimes I'll speak in a very direct manner that's really easy to understand for everyone to hear, and sometimes I'll put it in a way that you'll understand and can take away from that others might not get. And today's with you is a little bit of both. And if you listen to what I was saying before you came on air with me for the reading, some of that also relates. So it's going to be about you really looking after you this year, not letting yourself, put your core needs behind just so that you can be in the good books with someone else. That's my main message. But I do think you've got a lot of good things to look forward to. I actually feel as if you're going to have a better opportunity next year to get moving again on a whether it's a travel level. I do see movement there with travel, having to go to and from places, and whether I feel like there's a family connection with that, but also that there's going to be opportunities talked about financially to assist you that will come through those travels, particularly next year. So I hope, although that may not make sense just yet because we're not there yet, that I wish you the very best with all of that, and thank you so much for calling today, Rachel.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, darling. So what I'm doing today as well is I've been lighting the candle each week after the radio show to send healing out to everyone, so I use a candle. I send the light out to anyone who's actually, not in a good space, or they've got someone who's not well and that person's given them permission. And on the Facebook page, once again, there's a link to that, and I'll pin that back to the top of the page at the end of the show that you can find. If you're wanting to add someone to the healing list, I do that every time we do the show. I send that back out. And even if I've missed a week for various reasons, I'll actually still send that healing energy out. So I actually charge that up and off it goes. I actually usually use a bit of a different candle, but it's off in another place. So I'm using my other pink candle. This one doesn't have glitter on it. There's never enough glitter in life, really. It's a really fantastic thing because it sort of reminds you of the stars in the sky at night. And the ability to sparkle is really not about what surrounds you or other people around you. It's really about you being able to find that light within yourself and continue to send that out, because that's what helps to make the world a bit better sort of place. And, you know, in amongst that, we can sort of get into arguments about New Age apathy, but that's probably for another show. I'll probably get someone who's got satirical humour to come in for that one, and that can really be a rather interesting one. But for now, we might just put that on the back burner. We've actually got Azella from Utah. I hope I pronounced your name right. Are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Hello. Thank you so much for your call. Welcome on in. Now, I can do a reading for you if you pop your date of birth for me across.
November 5, 1977.
Woohoo! Yay. This is actually a better year for you. There's been some shocking ones there. I do feel that you are really putting a lot of energy into where you're going now, and you're able to, over the course of this year, get more focused. It feels like there's been a lot of things throwing your focus off. And we sort of, I don't feel that you ever really blame other people for what's happening to you. You're sort of like, all right, well, that happened. Let's just move on. And although Scorpios can be a bit volatile on that front, I do feel, though, that you do kind of let things go and go, you know what, I'm just going to pick myself up and get going again tomorrow. And it's that resolve that ends up paying off for you. And I do feel that that's what Spirit really wanted me to tell you straight off the bat, is to congratulate you for not ever giving up. Because if we sort of think about it, you know, the light bulbs that everyone's gotten, now they're becoming these curly fluorescent things, but the light bulb, the original light bulb, that was invented by Thomas Edison, I believe, and was it 451 attempts until he got that thing to work? You know, that is about persistence. And so that's what Spirit wants me to remind you about, is that you've been very persistent, and to stay persistent, because it's really important for you, you know, particularly through the course of this year. And this year is all about you finding balance and having to deal with, you know, how to kind of tune out from things that are not so helpful for you, and how to tune back into what you're needing to do. So I do feel you've been doing a lot of work on that, and this year as well, you know, it's about going into that quiet space at different points. But the question you want to look at for you today?
Yes, I was hoping to get an insight on my current relationship and where that is headed.
To me, I feel as if you have been, as I said, been dealing with a lot of different things going on around your life. It's like it's not been completely smooth, although I feel that you take, as I said, a very level approach to this, if that makes sense. But I do feel as if it's going to be really about you having to make sure that you're stepping back at times and rehearing things. So sometimes what's being said, you're, and I feel the other person's doing this as well, it's like you're not quite, you know, hearing exactly what was intended there. And sometimes it's stepping back from each other for just a moment that helps us really see what the real message is there and what we can do with that. And that gets the communication much better. It gets the understanding of each other much better. It gets the, I guess, the connection happening on a much nicer sort of level where you're right in tune with each other. And it's just, that's the sort of feeling I want to sort of express to you, is a need to sometimes step back, take a breather, you know, and then come back into it again, and then that helps you. And I just wonder if that's what you've already been doing. If it is, congratulations. But I'm just feeling like that's the message I have to say, is this is why this is important. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, we're currently taking a break and kind of giving each other kind of like a space to kind of sort things out. But I really love this man, and I know that he loves me as well. But obviously, things that have happened in both of our lives, I think it just kind of has put us in a spot that we just kind of...
Pressure is an amazing thing, and we can have pressure coming from many different sources. And then, yes, as you're saying, it comes into the middle of the relationship. It's like, I really don't, so it gets really challenging to know how to bring that together. And that is, it makes sense with what I'm saying about this needing to step back, and then we can come together and have a better communication about this. It makes sense with what I was saying about the rocky stuff going on around you. I do feel that you're getting that straightened out. I do feel as well that this year is where we can be dealing with a lot of other family constraints as well, difficulties with that. And, I do feel that both of you are going to keep working on this and keep talking, once we've had this time. It's going to be important to definitely, when you're coming back into this, and it's not if, it's when, to really be just hearing each other out and letting each other speak, take a deep breath, and then, okay, well, this is where I'm at as well. Because I do feel you're very, very supportive of each other in as best as you can. I just feel it's been really ridiculous situation and situations, like multiples, happening around both of you, as I said, coming from different angles and different people, that does make it hard, because how do you keep the spark going when that's happening? Well, that takes this kind of dedication to be able to step back. And I do feel, look, the great thing here that I feel is I do feel he's a patient man. I do feel that he is not incapable of being alone, and I do feel that you are the same. You're able to sit there and to take that time, and that is really important in this situation, because if either of you wasn't capable of being able to sit there and be alone in that space and just not have to be comforted by somebody, to actually to sit in that feeling and to go, oh, wow, and to deal with these other situations around us, well, then that's what allows you to be whole within yourself. And when two people are whole within themselves, they can be a really good connection together, because you don't have half a circle which as soon as they move it breaks. You've got two circles, and there's a bit of give in there, because if we sort of think about it, you've got these two interlinking sort of parts there, and you've got the ability for them to move backwards and forwards. So it's really important to allow for that space, to not rush back straight on in, and to take your time with each other. And I do feel both of you got the patience to make this work. So I really, really, truly send both of you a lot of love. You're both very good people. I do feel that you're not... okay, you're not like some of the people and some of the dramas that have been coming into this, if that makes sense.
Yes. It does.
So
I was just kind of worried, obviously, because he's a very good man, and I've been in very, very bad relationships before, and I'm scared of him being somebody that he projects not to be. But so far, I feel that he's that person that he says he is.
I actually feel he is, and I do feel that he has been consistent in what he's been saying to you. I do feel that if you were to look into the things that he has been saying to you, that you would find there's truth in that, particularly around where he's talking about difficulties with time constraints. I do feel that he's been approachable in a way that would demonstrate there is not other things that he's not telling you about, because if someone's very unreliable in their availability, that would be different. I do feel that any unreliability at times with him has actually been all able to be counted back to where it goes to. I don't feel that that's something that we would need to worry about, and I got a massive energy of emerald green that I was sending towards you as you were speaking. That's all about that healing of the heart, and I do feel with that that's it's why we need this space and time. Sometimes it can be hard to see the forest for the trees. We can be having trouble, how do I deal with my emotions in this situation? And it can really be actually that space, that stepping back allows you to see this and to be able to take that breath of fresh air that you need. But I do feel you're able to sit in that aloneness. It's just that you really feel so much for him that you're having trouble with this, for sure. Absolutely understandable. And it would be weird if you didn't feel that way. So do allow to sit in this feeling. Don't try and, to force on a happy face per se if that's not where we're at. It's really, really important to instead be able to kind of take this time and go, all right, well, I'm just going to allow myself to, breathe in this moment, if that makes sense to you. It's going to help you a great deal. Yeah. It's actually, sometimes we can have situations that test our faith. And this is certainly one of them. And you're going to have to just take those deep breaths, go into that meditative space at times, and that will help you push through this. I would also do things that, make you happy, do things that further your own interests right now. You can't give over your identity to this relationship entirely. It's really, really important not to do that. So I would get out with the girlfriends. I would be, doing the things that bring you sort of a clarity in your own space and what you're wanting to achieve for yourself. When's the last time you did your favourite hobby? When's the last time you, went for a run? When's the last time you, painted, drew, sang or danced? Those are the sorts of things that I'd be putting your energy into at the moment. And it's a great, in a way, distraction, but it also helps you get back to, hey, what have I been doing for me right now? Because, I'm shelling out a lot of energy on this guy. And perhaps I need to just give myself that space. And maybe that's why, in a way, that I've been given this opportunity to take that time for me. So that's why, stepping back at the moment is really good for you. And anything you sort of been letting go, not taking care of for yourself, or that's what I'd be getting into. I'd possibly even bake muffins because, everyone loves muffins usually, unless they're gluten intolerant. But, that sort of thing can help as well, just that, because it's very meditative to bake and, or to weed the garden. So that's the sort of stuff I'd get into. And I really wish you the absolute best with that. And I thank you so much for your call.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, darling. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'm sorry I could not get to all callers. There is only one of me. There are many other psychics on this channel. So keep listening, watching, or empathically tuning in. Although we can't really answer the empathic phone, we'll do our best. So you can catch me next time, same bat channel on Soulstar Radio, on the Ask On Radio and Moonstruck TV network. I got it all in one breath. Anyway, catch me on also Facebook. You can find me on Soulstar Radio. See you next week. Bye!